City Matters.
Hello, this is Bernie Furshpan here at HMTV in our podcast series, Ordinary Heroes. I have a very special, very, very special guest here today who is part of this incredible organization that we've all heard of, Long Island Cares. We have Paul Pachter here, the CEO and president, I think, right?
That's correct,
You hold two titles.
Two titles.
Thanks so much for being here today.
It's my pleasure, really.
You grew up in Brooklyn like me, didn't you?
I grew up in Brooklyn and lived there for 26 years. Mm-hmm. And it's still in my heart. It's a wonderful place to live then, and it's a great place to live now.
A lot of great leaders came from Brooklyn. Like my high school, James Madison High School.
Okay.
Bernie Sanders.
Mm-hmm.
Bruce Morrow, Cousin Brucey.
Cousin Brucey, okay.
One of the justices in the Supreme Court, I forgot her name. She passed away.
Ruth Bader Ginsburg?
Correct.
Wow.
So Brooklyn, creates a lot of people who want to lead and to do great things.
Absolutely.
You're doing great things.
Thank you. I actually graduated from Tilden High School.
I was supposed to go to Tilden.
Oh, you should have come. It was great.
If I only knew.
Our claim to fame was the humorist Sam Levinson.
Uh-huh.
Willie Randolph for the Yankees.
Sure.
And when I was graduating, I graduated with Reverend Al Sharpton. So
No kidding. Are you still friends?
No, we haven't spoken or seen each other in nearly 45 years.
I actually graduated with Andrew Silverstein.
Oh?
Yeah, Andrew Dice Clay.
Oh, really?
Yeah. We were in the same class. He played the drums.
Did he? I didn't know
For the orchestra, yeah.
Wow.
Jazz band. Yeah.
Fantastic.
Yeah,
and Harry lived in Brooklyn.
And Harry.
Yeah, Harry lived in Brooklyn before he moved to Huntington Bay.
And we're talking about Harry Chapin.
Harry Chapin. Yes.
And his brother.
Brother, Tom Chapin and Steve Chapin. And
what part of Brooklyn did they
I really don't remember.
So they did great things.
Yeah.
Barbara Streisand.
That's true. Yeah. Erasmus.
Erasmus High School.
Went to Erasmus
Church
High.
Avenue.
Yeah. In Flatbush.
Great falafel place right around the corner.
Between the falafel, the knishes, and Jan's ice cream, we had it made.
Jan's ice cream. Did you ever have that
The
bathtub?
kitchen sink?
The kitchen
Yep,
sink,
sure.
that's right.
Yeah.
Back then, we didn't care that 10 of us were eating out of the same bowl.
Sure. Absolutely.
Today, forget about it.
Got to be careful.
Yeah. You touch my stuff, I'm not touching it.
You'd have the kitchen sink and go to the Loews Kings Theater.
So you're a force over here in Long Island.
Oh, thank you.
You feed the hungry
Yeah.
and the food insecure. Now,
Food
that's a
insecure.
term that I would say is relatively new. Food insecure. Or food insecurity.
Food insecurity goes back about a decade now. Bernie, if you look at the environment where people are struggling to put food on their table, and when people would say hunger, it conjures up images of third world countries having airlifted bags of rice and dropping them,
Very
in
true.
Ethiopia. That's not America. Mm-hmm. What we have in America are 51 million people who have trouble putting food on their table every day.
51 million?
Million, yeah.
Americans.
Yes.
What percentage of New York, or at least Long Island, would you say is food insecure?
About 3.5%.
And that's significant.
Oh, yeah. In a
For a wealthy part of the country.
Area, about 280,000 people on Long Island, including 55,000 children.
Wow, that's a lot of children.
It is, and through no fault of their own.
Of course. I always say we have to protect our children.
Absolutely. And we have to be aware that there are people who are struggling in our own neighborhood. The face of those who are food insecure has changed dramatically in the last 10, 12 years. 40% of the people that are utilizing community food pantries are families that are holding down 2 and 3 jobs, just trying to get by paycheck to paycheck.
Now you deal with like over 350 agencies.
Right.
What kind of agencies do you deal with?
Well,
These are community-based agencies?
All of them. So we're looking at the food pantries, of which that's the majority, about 200 of them. The soup
And you
kitchens,
supply them?
we supply them with food and funding to do their operations. The daycare centers, socialization programs for the elderly, veterans organizations. It really is a very diverse group of people.
I was going to say it's quite a breadth of, different types of organizations, different types of people.
Absolutely.
Well, what are the root causes of hunger? I know you talk about that.
We talk about that a lot.
How do we know if we are food insecure?
Well, the way you know if you're food insecure or not is by how are you able to feed your family at least 3 meals a day, nutritious food, and not worry about where you're going to get the next meal. So you have families who on Long Island earning $50,000, $60,000, and yet they're having trouble with their rent or their mortgage, putting gas in the car. We can't even talk about health care because that can bankrupt families. So when you look at the root causes, it's unemployment, it's underemployment, it's aging, it's poverty, it's immigration status. We have a number of immigrants on Long Island. Whether they are here legally or illegally is not an issue for us. The issue for us is you're here, you're trying to make a new life, many of them escaping violence and difficult situations, and we have an obligation.
A humanitarian and a moral obligation is what you're saying.
Yeah. When Harry founded the organization in 1980, he really was focusing in not just on humanitarian efforts, but on how do you help families become more self-sufficient? And that's when he spoke about finding them work, finding them affordable housing and safe housing, helping people apply for entitlements. So that's a lot of the work we do, in addition to delivering to our member agencies more than 16 million pounds of food.
Why do you think Harry was motivated to feed the hungry on Long Island? First of all, his song was about the silver spoon, wasn't it? Is there any connection here?
Cats in the Cradle?
Yeah, Cats in the Cradle. And then he's got silver spoon in the lyrics.
Yes, he does.
Is there any connection here?
Well, probably knowing the way Harry's mind worked. Harry, in addition to being a very gifted songwriter and storyteller, is respected by many for his social activism. He was the first well-known celebrity to address the issue of hunger. And he started doing this in the early 1970s when he founded an organization called World Hunger Years. And World Hunger Years, which is now known as Why Hunger, focused in on hunger in third world countries. Harry had gone to Africa, he had gone to India, he toured the world, and he saw poverty close up. And in 1975, when he founded World Hunger Years, his focus really was on the global picture. He actually is credited by many as the driving force behind U.S. Aid for Africa and We Are the World. But 5 years later, in 1980, he looked in his own backyard, and he was living in Huntington Bay. And at that time, there were approximately 50,000 people on Long Island that were struggling with food insecurity. And he tried to do something about it. And he went the political route. So he met at the time, I believe, with Governor Hugh Carey and told him what he wanted to do. And Governor Carey gave him a challenge. He said, if you can get Nassau County and Suffolk County to each give you $25,000, I'll match it, and I'll give you property on state grounds. And lo and behold, in 1980, Long Island Cares opened on the grounds of Pilgrim State Psychiatric Center in 2 buildings.
Is that right? I didn't know, actually, that's where's it based right now?
Well, now we're in Hauppauge. We've been in our own building, 35,000 square foot operation in Hauppauge, where we have our warehouse and our administrative staff.
Does that include refrigeration there?
Yes, refrigeration,
so
coolers,
that's
freezers.
costly to maintain,
Oh, sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, our utility bills are sky high, but we get great support from PSC&G and LIPA and everyone else.
I see.
But we now have 9 locations throughout Long Island.
That's amazing. Yeah. So 9 warehouses, would you say?
No, actually, we have the one warehouse, and then we have a Center for Community Engagement in Hauppauge where we bring together both the business and the nonprofit community. We give people office space and meeting space. We have our podcast studio there. And then we have 7 locations where we operate our own community food pantries. So it's not only just us looking at the network, it's us being part of the network.
Wow. How does this make you feel? Every day when you wake up, are you excited to go to work?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, for the past 17 years.
I mean, you're an administrator.
It's true.
That's a whole nother thing, right?
Well,
you got the headaches, but is the satisfaction greater than the headaches?
Yeah, they certainly outweigh the headaches. You know, I look at myself and what I do for a living as really having 2 jobs. One is to be the executive of Long Island Cares and working with my great team, having the agency run and do well. And the second is I'm blessed to have Harry's legacy that I have to make sure that I maintain. You know, Harry's been gone, wow, it's like 45 years, and really trying to reach out to the community, especially young people, to share the story of who this 38-year-old man was and what he was able to accomplish in his brief lifetime. So that's a challenge, but it's a great joy as well.
I think all of Long Islanders were very upset when he crashed his car. I think it was in the middle of the night. What exactly happened?
It was July 16th of 1981, and Harry was on his way, and that night he was scheduled to do a free concert in Eisenhower Park, and they had estimated about 25,000 people showing up to the concert. Harry often did free concerts. And
very generous heart.
Yeah, and in the morning he had a meeting with his record company in Manhattan. So he was on his way into Manhattan on the Long Island Expressway. And for some reason, he lost control of his car. And unfortunately, right behind him was one of those 18-wheel, rigs. And the driver just couldn't stop. And Harry's car was hit, went on fire. And unfortunately, he passed away at the Nassau University Medical Center.
Very unfortunate. That was a sad day for Long Island. I remember all my friends were all upset because we really admired his work. Truly did.
He was very approachable.
He was.
You know, he would walk the streets of Huntington. He'd go to the diner. He'd go shopping. Went to the bookstore. And people would stop him, and he would always stop and talk. And he gave of his time to raise money for many organizations. But the one thing, people will tell you, and I've heard this for 17 years practically every week, everybody has a Harry story. Everybody met him either at their middle school or their high school or their college. And what Harry was known for was he was the last one out of the venue when he performed. He stayed until every single fan who wanted to meet him met him.
He was an extraordinary hero to a lot of people. Yeah. And you had to carry that torch. Is that a lot of pressure?
No, it's a joy. It really is a joy. Speaking about him and explaining to young people who are doing food drives and coming to volunteer at the warehouse, to explain to them who he was and why he was so well respected and loved on Long Island, but certainly across the world.
Do you have special programs that you have annual programs perhaps, or even annual fundraising events perhaps? Tell me a little bit about them.
Well, every year we have a charity golf outing.
Okay.
It's coming up on May 5th.
I think every organization has a golf outing.
Yeah. We used to have annual dinners, but, it's hard to get people to come to a dinner these days. Yeah. But we do an annual pause walk to support our pet food pantry.
Yes.
And we do a lot of, small events that our donors sponsor for us at their homes. So we're very fortunate in that we're able to raise on average about $10 million a year to support the organization.
When I read about your pet, right, your pet project, I should call it
Baxter's.
your pet project. I didn't think about food insecurity for pets on Long Island, and so are these pets that are in, homes?
These are family pets.
Okay,
So-
they're not in
No, not in shelters or anything
shelters and
like
things
that.
like that. Yeah,
We realized that our mission is really to feed
that's incredible.
the family.
Yes,
And we kept hearing in 2009 during the recession from our families, do we have pet food?
right.
And we didn't. And we kept hearing this, people putting their pets in shelters because they couldn't afford
couldn't
to feed
afford
them.
it.
Right. So we opened up Baxter's Pet Pantry.
Fantastic.
And
how does that work?
Well,
do people
first-
come to your center, or do you distribute it?
no, Baxter's is actually in Lindenhurst.
Okay.
So it's a freestanding pet pantry. But we also provide pet food through our warehouse to all of our member agencies. And of the 360 organizations that we support, over 200 of them deal in pet food. We were the first food bank in the country to open up a freestanding pet pantry. And many other food banks have reached out to us to ask us how we get the pet food, how do we distribute it. We have great support from the pet food industry, whether it's Petco or PetSmart.
It's wonderful that corporations
Hills.
participate
Sure.
in this way.
Yeah.
Where do you see the future? I mean, what are the statistics showing you? What is the trend in terms of Long Island food insecurity? Is it getting better? Is it the same? Is it getting worse?
It's getting worse, unfortunately.
How worse is it getting?
Well,
And what do you see the future?
when we came out of the COVID pandemic, during COVID, we saw a 74% increase in the number of people.
Because people were out of work, perhaps?
Correct. They were out of work. They had been furloughed.
That's right.
Families were really caught in the cycle of family members being ill with the virus. And so we saw the population double in those 2 years that we went through COVID. We thought when COVID ended, we would see a reduction in the numbers. Instead, we're dealing with an economic situation where people are finding it hard to afford food, where healthcare costs are astronomical, where the cost of housing is prohibitive. And so we're seeing a 30% increase. So right now, that represents about 65,000 people in addition to what we were seeing. And I don't see it going down. Unfortunately, many of our agencies are reporting 50% increases in the number of people. Families are struggling. And if you know Long Island, as you and I both do, historically, there's always been pockets of poverty in communities in both counties. And in the past 40 years, it's changed. There really is more pockets of affluence. The majority of people on Long Island are struggling financially because of the cost of living in this region. And that leads to things like not being able to afford food.
I notice on your lapel you have the blue square. What's your connection with that?
Well, look, I am of the Jewish faith. My grandparents came from Poland, Ukraine, Russia, and I have trouble with anti-Semitism. I have trouble when we have a government that's not as aggressive as they should be. We don't have many leaders in the Jewish community who speak out on a regular basis. And when I learned about Blue Square and the owner of the football team, Mr. Kraft, I believe, I was inspired. So on all my jackets, I wear the blue square.
Terrific. Well, thank you for your support. Because
right.
we're doing the same thing. We're trying to get the message out there. Yeah. We're working hard. We have a lot of volunteers here, just like your organization, because we really depend on our volunteers. We have a very small crew, paid crew, but a large volunteer base. And we educate young people. Over 30,000 students come through the doors here.
Wonderful.
And we think it's working to some degree. People ask, well, there's still anti-Semitism. Is it actually working? I said, well, if we didn't do it, it'd be worse.
Absolutely.
You know,
Yeah.
somebody who's exercising and eats well, and then they die of a heart attack. They say, oh, you see, they ate well, they exercised, and then they got a heart. Well, if they didn't, they probably would have died sooner. So the thing is that it does work. It's just, it's hard to quantify it.
But there's also, you know, I think at least, tremendous obstacles in the way of improving that situation. And for me, one of the major obstacles is social media.
Yes.
I just think people, young people, children, don't really understand what they're reading. They don't understand the videos. And it's very easy, as you know, to spread hate.
It's very easy. It spreads very quickly. In the 1930s, it took years to spread propaganda, but today it takes minutes to change people's minds and hearts. And sometimes they think that they're doing the right thing. You know, they're trying to stand up for justice, but they don't really know what they're supporting. They have no clue.
Yeah, it's true.
And we, you know, we're trying to educate as many people as possible. We are fighting against, you know, the powerful impact of social media. It's something that we, us adults, created for them. And this is what they have on their hands. And they're inheriting a broken world, and we hope that they realize that they have to, you know, use that properly and change the direction of society and make it a better world for, and participate and volunteer in organizations like, how many volunteers do you have in your program?
We have about over 2,500 volunteers.
That is amazing. Now, what does a typical volunteer do?
Well, we have what we refer to as the super volunteers who are with us at least 3 days a week, many of them working in our warehouse, sorting and repacking food. But then we have volunteers who work at our satellite locations, some who like to work at special events, whether it's a concert or, you know, a ball game or something like that. So everyone, you know, gives their time as much as they can. And it makes a big difference, a very big difference.
That's wonderful.
Especially corporate volunteers that come from major corporations on Long Island, be it Bank of America or a PSC&G.
So you collaborate with corporations, and then they have these programs where they send their employees to volunteer.
Yep, team building exercises.
It's a character building exercise for sure.
And it's always so rewarding for me when I walk in the warehouse and meet the volunteers, how many of them are really shocked. They didn't understand the extent of the problem. When they see this warehouse loaded with food and they see all this donation coming in, retail donors who are giving us product every day, and when you put that image in front of them, they really do get it, and they want to keep contributing. So it's very rewarding, just like it is here.
Mr. Paul Pachter, I'm so grateful you were here today.
It's my pleasure.
You've enlightened us about your incredible program and the legacy that Harry left behind, and you've certainly done incredibly well in carrying the torch, and I wish you much success in the future and continued success. And thanks and to all the people that have eavesdropped in our little conversation here. I'm Bernie Furshpan here at HMTC at the Holocaust Memorial and Tolerance Center. Until next time, be well.